Welcome to study session 6, Fundamental Behavioral Listening Problems. Introduction. In the previous session, you examined the factors that can make or mar listening comprehension. Our concern then was more on the speaker, the message, the environment, and the language proficiency. In this session, our emphasis is going to be on those negative psychological traits of the listener himself. We'll be discussing how these negative traits can inhibit hearing perception, selection, and interpretation of all the processes involved in comprehending oral discourse. Learning outcome. When you have studied this session, you should be able to 1. Identify the fundamental behavioral listening problem and how to overcome them. Fundamental behavioral listening problems and how to overcome them. 1. Premature consideration of a topic as uninteresting. It is a bad listener who will view a topic as uninteresting before the message is delivered. Since the topic of the meeting, a lecture, a briefing, or a discussion has some implications, it is an unwholesome habit dismissing such a topic as uninteresting, especially prematurely. In addition, prejudging a topic or the learner often leads to passive listening. To overcome this problem, the trained listener should regard the topic as vital and rewarding by looking for ways in which the use of information gleaned from the message. This bad habit can even lead to avoiding topics that are controversial, challenging, or thought-provoking. 2. Emotional involvement. When a listener is overstimulated at the beginning of a communication act, he or she is bound to be too emotionally involved to listen effectively. Instead, he gets carried away by the speaker's comments and ultimately misses the vital information which comes later in the act. The best way to overcome this problem is to maintain a neutral stance and concentrated on the importance of the message. 3. Narrow listening. If a receiver of message listens only for facts, it may lead to narrow, ineffective listening. One who engages in narrow listening cannot be analytical, critical, or evaluative listening to oral discourse at the tertiary level required some elements of discrimination, analysis, and judgment, especially when the message is rich with symbolism and or multiple interpretation. However, a good listener should be guided by the nature of the message and mode delivery. Listening only for facts has its limitation, which a trained listener must recognize and guard against. It must not lead to listening to only what is easy to understand. Lack of concentration. Adequate concentration is paramount to active listening. Some students lose attention during important lectures and academic discussion. Their physical presence is not adorned by real facial expression, eye contact, and nodding, which they pretend to show. They are the loser for such passivity. While a few cases of lack of concentration are traceable to health reasons, many are psychological. Some listeners' inattention is due to unstated assumptions, while others cannot concentrate owing to restlessness, lack of interest, or absent-minded. A few others have short attention span. 5. Superimposition of personal prejudice. A good listener allows himself or herself to be swept off the cause in a communication situation when he permits his personal prejudice or deep-seated conviction to impair his comprehension of the vital information. These behavioral problems often occur when a listener stands or positions on certain issues such as religion, politics, ideology, etc., are threatened by what he listens to. For example, A religious fanatic can hardly listen actively to talks delivered by agnostics, animists, or atheists, and vice versa. The poor listener will superimpose his prejudice or conviction on the substance or the vital message of the speaker. Criticism of delivery rather than message. For reasons best known to the poor listener, mode of delivery of a message is criticized rather than the message. Since not all speakers are trained in the art of speech composition and delivery, a listener should listen attentively to and analyze the message critically irrespective of the speaker's style of delivery. Many efficient listeners have gained tremendously from church sermons, inaugural lectures, special addresses, and political campaigns, regardless of who the speaker are. Listen with a view to get value for your attention and not for fault finding or witch hunting. Misconception that results in effective listening. Listening is not my problem. People generally believe they are better listeners than those people around them. It is the people they work for, the ones who work with or for them, their family members and their friends who have a problem in listening effectively, not them. The people around us believe that we have more of a problem listening effectively than they do. Listening and hearing are the same. Simply having good hearing does not make one a good listener. In fact, many people who have perfectly good hearing are not good listeners. Having good hearing does not facilitate one's perception of sound, but good listeners don't simply hear words, they focus on the meaning. We communicate effectively with each other insofar as we share meaning. If I tell you something and you misunderstand me, effective communication has not occurred. If I tell you something and you understand what I meant, that is, if we have an effective transfer or sharing of meaning, we say that communication is effective. The effective listening implies the listening understands what the speaker means. The difference between hearing and listening can be stated this way. Hearing is a reception of sound. Listening is the attachment of meaning to the sound. Hearing is passive. Listening is active. Understanding the difference between hearing and listening is an important prerequisite for listening effectively. Smarter people are better listeners. Obviously, intelligence plays a role in a person's capacity to listen. Persons with limited intelligence will be limited in their capacity to process the information contained in the message they receive. Conversely, those having high intelligence levels will possess a greater processing capacity. Yet, the belief that smarter people are better listeners is often false. In fact, evidence suggests that the reverse is often true. Study session summary. In this study session, you have learned about certain behavioral problems which the listener manifests as he engages in interactive listening. Those problems inhibit effective comprehension. They include not giving adequate thought to the message, undue emotional involvement, listening for facts only, faking attention, permitting personal prejudice to tamper with comprehension process, and general fault finding. Thanks for listening.